ubi iam se ad eam rem paratos esse arbitrati sunt, opera sua omnia, numero ad duodecim, vicos ad quadragentos, reliqua privata aedificia incendent. Wow, talk about a scorched earth policy. Okay, we start with ubi, which should be a big sign, ding, ding, ding. We've got a dependent clause, and that dependent clause starts at the ubi and ends at sunt. So let's look at this. When, oh, look, this is an accusative here. Ad am rem, boring prepositional phrase. And then we've got paratos esse. By now, if you see an accusative and an infinitive, that should be a sign going off saying, oh, we've got an indirect statement. And of course, Caesar gives us arbitrati sunt, the kissing verb. Remember, this is one of his favorite verbs. It means to think. So that confirms that we do indeed have an indirect statement here. When they thought that they were paratos, and then prepositional phrase. So that's your dependent clause. Now we're going to move on to the main clause. All their towns, we don't know for sure if that's nominative or accusative. So let's hold that in our heads while we're contemplating. We're going to keep going. Now they talk about how many towns. About 12 of them. And then about this many neighborhoods. And then another ambiguous form, reliqua privata aedificia, the rest of the private buildings. Incendent, oh, there's your main verb. Well, this looks like a verb that takes a direct object. So it appears that they burned all their towns, about this many towns, about this many neighborhoods, and all the rest of their buildings. So notice Caesar had the Helvetians way up here as a subject, but he doesn't bother to tell you that they are still the subject of incendent because you're carrying that in your amazing Latin brain. Okay, moving on to number 3. Fermentum omne, praeter quod secum portaturi erant comburant, ut domum redditiones spe sublata paratiores ad omnia pericula sub eunda essent. Trium mensum molita cibaria sibi quemque domo ethere jubent. Let's keep going. Now we've got a bunch of grain, probably accusative because last I checked, grain doesn't usually do anything in a sentence. Praeter, except, and then we have a relative clause describing the grain, except what portaturi secum erant. Notice portaturi erant. That is a 2-part word. I see a UR there. It looks to me like a future something, except that which they're going to bring with them. What do they do with all the grain except that which they're bringing with them? Comburant. And that is where you get the English word combustible. Okay, so they burned all that stuff. Why did they do it? Ut. Let's see. We've got an ut clause. I bet you there's a subjunctive there. Ut, and yep, it ends with the subjunctive verb right here. So that domum redditiones spe. Okay, domum is just a weird place meaning home, like in the direction of your house. We have an ablative here, spe, hope of returning. So by now, I'm thinking that maybe we've got something passive going on. We'll keep going. Oh, look, sublata. Hey, if you have an ablative noun with spe, and an ablative participle with sublata, I bet you have an ablative absolute. So with the hope of returning home having been removed, so there's your ablative absolute. We still don't know what the verb is with the ut clause. Here it is, essent. They would be paratiores, and hopefully by now you'd see they would be prepared, and we've talked about ad plus an nd word, how that works for the purpose of something. Continuing on. 3 months worth. Molita cibaria, that's food. Oh, we've got a dative here. And then we have an accusative and an infinitive and eubeo. Eubeo is important because you order the accusative in Latin to do the infinitive. So they order each guy to bring for himself 3 months worth of food from his house. So apparently this is a bring your own grain party that they're going on. And we will go ahead and finish this up. Persuadent rauracis et tulingis et latabrigis venitumis, ut eodem usi concilio apidi suis vicisque exustis una cum iis profiscantur. So now the Helvetians apparently are going to have friends because they persuade these guys and these guys and these guys, who apparently are all their neighbors. And if you're persuading someone in Latin, that of course introduces an indirect command, and that's here. Notice uti and ut are sometimes used interchangeably. Talk about a lame thing to do, so make sure you recognize that uti is indeed ut. They persuade them to, let's see, having used the same plan. Usi comes from utor, which we talked about as one of the filthy 5 verbs that takes an ablative object. Having used the same plan, they persuaded them to do what? To leave profiscantur with them. But before they do that, they're going to have these ablative absolutes with all their towns and stuff having been burned. They persuaded them to leave together. Una is an adverb there, together with them. Hey guys, let's burn our houses down. Everybody can go on vacation together. Now we've got the boyos, who are for some reason in the accusative case, the boyos, and then we have the snifty relative clause talking about them, who live across the Rhine, who had gone over there and were attacking that place. Boring relative clause there. The boyos in the accusative, oh, here it is. The boyos having received to them as allies. Notice receptos modifies boyos way over there. And we're still waiting to see what they did to the boyos. Oh, here it is. They joined them. They attached the boyos to themselves as allies. Wow, that was ginormous. But I'm sure you'll be able to get through it.